Anyone have a creepy or supernatural story they can't logically explain? Or something that has happened that made you believe in alternate reality or spiritual or paranormal worlds? Here is mine. Well, it happened to my parents when I was maybe like 7. I remember my parents had a priest come to our house and bless all. How my best friend changed. I 45M have been best friends with Jake 46M since we were kids. He was always the quiet one, happy to stay in the background while I did most of the talking. He struggled a lot with confidence growing up, and I always wished he could see himself the way I saw him: smart, capable, and a genuinely good guy. About 10 years ago, he hit a rough patch. He was stuck in a job he hated, in a relationship that drained him, and I could tell it was wearing him down. I remember one night, we were having a couple of beers, and he just sighed and said, "Maybe this isn't for me." It hurt to hear, because I knew he was capable of so much more. But then, things started to change. He left that relationship, went back to school, and started working towards something he actually cared about. It was slow at first, but I watched him grow more confident, more sure of himself. The first time I saw him take charge of a room, I had to do a double take. Now, he's thriving. He runs his own business, speaks at events, and just seems happy. Looking back, I didn't even notice the change happening. It was so gradual. But now, when I see him standing tall, completely in his element, I think about the guy I grew up with, and I just feel proud. So when I was in high school years, after we moved to a different house, I was having a conversation about my dad about planning to mess around with an Ouija board with my friends. This was when my dad, a very scientific-minded and logical person, surprisingly freaked out and told me not to mess with that. The convo led him to explaining a number of crazy things they experienced when we lived at our old house, when I was a child, when they were first moving in, and I was a baby. He said that boxes they never touched would be opened when coming back into the room, and items would be found in places they didn't remember putting them. They just assumed that they forgot opening things and moving their stuff since moving with a baby is hectic and stressful. Then, my parents would be woken up by sounds of people laughing and talking loudly coming from the kitchen. He said there was clanging, and it sounded like people sitting around a campfire. When this first started happening, my dad would wake up pissed, thinking our downstairs neighbors were having a party. So he would run downstairs to find that all the lights were out and the tenants were asleep. It got to the point where he thought they were fucking with him and would bang on the door, and the tenants would answer, clearly woken up from sleep. This would happen for many nights, and my dad would check the street and nothing.